Hey guys, it is Guido Tactics Talk, and not really a CC interview. Actually, the leader of the CCs. A special treat today. We have Domosapien. Look at him; he exists. That's a person right there. Look at that.
That's true. I am just one person and not four.
Fantastic. We'll just leave. We're gonna leave that one. We're gonna let that one go. So instead of me describing what you do, how about you describe what you do?
Sure. So I guess officially my job title is community coordinator. It's effectively the same thing as a community manager, but here at Wargaming we like to come up with silly different names for things that means. So effectively, like I'll have my what people typically think of when they think of like a online game community manager. Interacting with players in the forums, Discord, Reddit. So a little bit of social media, although we do have a dedicated social media team. But yeah, typically, I guess if you don't know what a community manager is, it's this weird sort of like thing that popped up in our industry as a result of like the direction that the industry has been going, and essentially with everything becoming more online and people interfacing with each other like instantly. So it's a kind of a mix of like PR and customer service. So like I started off doing customer service for 3 years for Wargaming, and it's funny because when I was transitioning to community, I was like, oh sweet, I don't have to answer tickets anymore. This is going to be great, but. I'm still pretty much answering tickets, but now they're tickets that like tens of thousands of people see and not just one person. Yeah. So it's a lot more stressful.
And all of our tickets, all the whines, complaints, requests, inputs from the CCs who
you guys I enjoy dealing with, people yelling at me about black market being broken, not so much.
So here's the thing about the CCs and interacting with you that surprised me a little bit. There are more opinions or more varied opinions amongst CCs than I would have expected. Did that catch you by surprise at all? At least at first?
I think it's funny because I think like before we had this last wave of invites and we were essentially, effectively half the size. There were still like disagreements here and there, but it was all very like kind of calm and collected, like a nice little town hall. And now you added so many people, like we've added so many people to the town hall now that there's so many more like dissenting opinions that like weren't in the mix before. So I mean, it naturally with growing pains, I think people bump heads a little bit. But then we've had some good conversations going in there as far as the feedback around the different features. And like for me, who I'm doing, besides the CC program, one of my like major job functions is feedback reporting. I'm like the feedback guy. So for me, like that is huge. Like it's invaluable to have like all this feedback from you guys who are like way I guess more boots on the ground, so to speak. Whereas I play tanks, but like I'm a casual player. Like I've been somebody called me out on my battle count recently, which I thought was pretty good. 15,000 battles, but
I saw that. Yeah, in the forum. Yeah.
I saw I'm like, well, I still play the game, and it's like you work on something all day, right? You don't always want to go home and then just jump right back into work. And then another caveat of that too is that like you're like, oh hey Domo, you're on. Let me ask you this question real quick. And I'm like, crap, like I've been answering questions and doing work for the past 8 hours, and I just want to chill out and play some tanks, but like I don't want to just tell you all, screw you, like go contact customer support. Yeah. Like I'll try to help. Yeah. So it's this weird balancing act too of like
you're always on. You never get a break. All right, so talking about feedback, I have some questions in here from some of my viewers and community, as we say. All right, so this is a big one. All right, you ready for this one? This is very difficult.
All right.
This one's from lots of pilgrims. Tea or coffee?
Ooh, I used to be more honestly both. I like both respectively. Different, like I have different moods. But no, I mostly coffee, just because coffee is generally more readily accessible, especially in the workplace. But yeah. I do enjoy a nice cup of tea. Don't get me wrong.
The follow-on question is: do you make it in a teapot the correct way, or in an old jar? I don't. Why did he say old jar? I think he's talking about me in that teapot, or just however you have to make it.
Oh gosh, it depends on it depends. Like I had this phase where I had a fancy little tea strainer that I got online. It was like shaped like a brontosaurus. It was adorable. It was great. The brontosaurus goes upside down. The tea's ready. All that jazz. But no, I don't have a teapot. A kettle, if whatever. Yeah. I'm basic, I guess. Just a tea bag. Although you can get little like if you want your fancy loose leaf teas, right, you can
Yeah.
get like one of those, like they have these sleeves, like a pack of, like they're like coffee filters, but they're like
Yeah.
kind of rectangular. You just dump the tea in there, and then you kind of just drape it over your
Well,
mug.
if you
And,
hadn't guessed,
you
that
know,
was actually from one of the British guys. So he just wanted
I,
to take
I figured, yeah.
he wanted to get that straightened out. All right, so we were talking about just a second ago about the CCs, and you had the first tranche, I guess, came in, and like you said, I wouldn't say it was homogenous, but relatively kind of closely. I think they were all of us. I was probably the worst player of them all. The rest of them were really good, and this is not a negative thing, but it looks like you opened up the aperture, so you have representation from all parts of the game. Was that on purpose?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that we were trying to do with this new wave and kind of expanding, we've got I know you released that awesome video kind of going into details about what the difference between a partnered and a non-partnered CC. And basically what that kind of allowed us to do, right, was bring in more people who we like their content, and we feel that they definitely represent with a part of our player base, or there are folks who play our game who would identify with them with their content.
Right.
So I'm glad to finally be able to do that, even if those folks maybe aren't up there in the 40 concurrent viewers, that type of range or whatever. But
Right.
but with theoretically with the right support, right, they will hopefully be able to grow their channels and kind of spread awareness about themselves and their content, and in time build up to that level of audience as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so that being said, where do you see the current events aside? Let's just say that the world doesn't end. But what are you seeing for the next year from the community management team? Where is there anything interesting coming up? Are there any other big? Is it more? Are we just going to try to keep status quo, or do you have any big ideas coming up?
So I don't plan, like I don't think we plan on reinventing the wheel right now, just
Yeah.
because we had all this stuff that we launched with with the battle pass, the daily missions. New Balance is kind of this thing looming on the horizon, right?
Yeah.
So
We'll
as
get to
far
that.
as far as community like activities, I more of what we've been doing. I submitted a proposal for scavenger hunt last week. I'm hoping that the server engineers in Minsk okay it, but that's also like a little bit up in the air right now, just because I guess they really want to see what the data around like player engagement with the battle pass and the daily missions, how all that shakes out. And then have that sort of be isolated data without too many external factors polluting it, like extra missions, scavenger hunt boosters, etc. So with all of that in mind, it's hard for us to really plan like we're gonna have this big long epic like community activity outside of our regular kind of stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, even like even stuff that we thought was like guaranteed, like Aquino, we're definitely going to be going to Aquino. Now we don't know if we're going to Aquino because
Right.
or we don't know if we'll be allowed to travel or congregate, etc.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of weird right now. But yeah, definitely hoping to do scavenger hunt next month. And
So when you talk about all the things that are going on and you're looking for, was it player engagement? Was that the term you used?
yeah.
Okay, what does that mean? Tell the folks what are you kind of looking at when you're like looking at player engagement for a certain event? What does that mean?
So
what does that mean?
I mean, so like you've got like your basic metrics like sales and all that. Like, is this person a payer? How much do they pay? How much, etc. Right? Like typical sales mumbo jumbo. But then like as far as like an online game, right? You've got all of these people who play the game who may not necessarily spend as much or anything at all, and like that player is still like theoretically it's an asset to us because you're not buying stuff, but like you're playing the game and shooting at people who are buying stuff and giving them something to shoot at. So like you're still contributing to the community in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
So if you're logging in, you're playing battles. Like, so for example, somebody with like, if somebody maybe plays like 5 to 10 battles a week, and this event motivates them to maybe play 25 to 40 battles a week, like now that player is that much more engaged with the community. So like the highly engaged players are also like, do they interact with World of Tanks outside of the game? Do they go on the forums? Do they go on the Discord server, share memes, etc.? Like a really engaged player who's really invested in the community is also going to feel like connected to the brand in some way. Even if that's something as silly as just like sharing World of Tanks memes with their friends.
Yeah.
Like it all like ends up being some kind of like a clout, I guess. Like it's still positive momentum because people are still having a conversation about it.
So is there a such thing as too much? player engagement. Like you got a guy. Obviously, you get people running bots, and that pops up once in a while. I'm not talking about a guy who's spamming 500 battles a day, and you guys typically find that stuff. I'm talking about a guy that's no kidding. He's a player. Do you ever look at it and go, man, that's just too much?
So it's kind of a weird, I guess, like, it's an interesting thing to think about because it's one of those things we have to balance from like an organizational perspective versus like an individual perspective. So like theoretically, right? If some guy is on there playing 500 battles a day,
that's great for you.
Buying tanks or whatever, like sweet, that's great. But then also like, and eventually it's like, where is this unhealthy? Like, do we, like, is this person ignoring every other aspect of their responsible adult life to play World of Tanks? Like. We love you, play our game for sure, awesome, but also like feed your kids and pick them up from school. And
I know that's going way beyond your view range right there, but
it's definitely something to kind of think about, right?
But, you're in the industry, right? So that's something that I'm sure you guys talk about and kind of look at.
And then if you want to like just break it down from like purely like a money whatever standpoint too, if you think about it, like certain events are crafted with I guess reach in mind. So like for example, like one of the reasons, like when I'm designing what kind of prizing do I want to give out for Scavenger, like I have to look at the metrics of like how many people participated last year, how many people were reaching certain levels of rewards, and then with those levels of rewards, like are the people who are getting lots out of this event translating to like more engaged players? Because if I'm giving out all of these prizes and you're logging in and grabbing the prizes, but then you play your battle and then you leave,
right?
Like, is that like there's not that much value from it? It's just, I mean, theoretically, right? We also get into the weird conversation of whether or not virtual goods and ones and zeros have inherent value, but that's way beside the point, right? At the end of the day, like there's that little bit of that balancing act of like missed opportunity cost of like one of the things I was thinking. I sorry to keep going back to Scavenger Hunt, but it's like my main like that is my brainchild. That's the event that I've like sort of crafted from start to finish. So it's kind of shaped my perspective on like what getting an event launched for us looks like. Right. So with that in mind, like I had to sort of tweak the pricing, for some of the dates, and then like maybe moving forward, like I don't know if I'm going to get the credit boosters approved, that type of thing. Like it all enters that conversation when figuring out like how much what exactly we can do with an event. So to long roundabout answer to your original question, like yes, someone could theoretically be too engaged, especially if they're like reaping all these rewards, but they aren't necessarily like creating engagement.
Right. So it's a balancing act for you.
It's if they're a promoter, that's great. If they're getting their friends to play the game, whatever, like fantastic, great. That's more people playing tanks. That's just a win-win for us. But
it's interesting you talk about the zeros ones things and what's valuable, because I talk about that a lot on especially my Sunday webisode thing when I actually go through your sales and kind of look at it and say what I like and what I don't like about it, that kind of stuff. But it's always interesting when people say, "Hey, Guido, is it worth it for tank X?" I'm like, man, that's a loaded question, because it's up to you, man. It is. It's digital goods. At any moment, Wargaming could stop tomorrow, and they take their goods with them. They close shop, and that's all over. It's not like you're going to sell your tank. Well, you could, but let's not get into that. That's a whole nother thing.
Technically, not according to the rules, you can't.
Exactly. That's not. But I mean, it's not like when Wargaming stops, we're going to trade in our tanks, and they'll say, "Hey, well, let me give you some money back." So that's just a personal thing, really.
I mean, for what it's worth, we have no foreseeable plans of ending anytime soon.
That's not what I meant.
I would like to remain employed, but I get what you're saying. It's like a weird conversation I would have with people in CS at times, who are demanding refunds on used goods. I'm like, hey, sorry, this is our refund policy. Like, once you take the tank into battle, like it's considered used, and then you can't. Well, like it's not like you have no lost material or anything. Like you're not like this good has no inherent value, so you should give me my money back. And like, well, no, the inherent value is the people that spent their time working on this feature of a service, because essentially World of Tanks, if you go into the EULA, it breaks down to whatever World of Tanks is a service and all that. Like you're paying for a feature in a game. Right. Essentially, like, and the game, like, you have that the feature is available to you as long as the game service is running and you are following the rules, so you don't get your account taken away. All of that good stuff.
Yeah, the creation has value. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, what I mean,
yeah.
the creation has value. Which I'm glad you brought that up because talk to us about the pricing of the 3D skins.
Okay, I could talk about that. Yeah, because I hear
Yeah,
you. Like,
yeah,
it's. I have been pushing for. I mean, pushing as much as I could push, in whatever position I was in at the time. But like, since I was in CS, I was like, hey, we need more cool skins, like cool, colorful skins. Tank people will buy it. Like, how about instead of selling premium tanks, we sell premium skins, and like, it turns out to be this whole different beast because when you make a 3D skin, right? If you're for an example being the Bat Chat, the tier 10 Bat Chat, they had to make variations of that skin for each possible configuration for the tank because you could put a different gun on it. If a tank has more than one configuration, right, you have to remodel and reskin every single possible option. And then with that in mind, I apparently like I don't have the development perspective to really know how like legit this is, but I have been told by some people, above my pay grade that it takes an astronomical amount of time and several like potentially like over $10,000 to like get a skin made from start to finish for a tank. Like, so thinking about that again, going back to that conversation too, of it just ends up shaking down to like how much time are the developers spending on making this, because
right.
you're not paying for the good, you're paying for the developers and the salaries of the people who are creating this.
Yeah, there's a supply chain for digital goods. Believe it or not, there's actually a logistics train of that. Even though it's not a physical thing moving along, it is digital stuff moving along. All right, so go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, like, with that in mind, like, yes, I'd like to see more sales, more discounts.
Yeah,
I think maybe it's a little steep for some of them, for sure. Like,
well, you're talking almost $20 for a skin. I'm like, oh man, that's a little crazy.
Personally, so look, what I think would be a better way of doing it, and I mean that's out of my not my call ultimately, but like as a player, I think it would be cool to just see more of these skins in game for gold, since players have ways to earn gold through tournaments, clan wars, etc. Like, if again, like the person buying it for gold is theoretically like still inherently valuable to us as a player, because whether or not they got that gold by swiping their credit card, like they got that gold by engaging with the game and engaging with the community.
Right.
So with that in mind, I would love to see more for gold. I get the concept of like exclusivity and like the amount of time that goes into making them. I mean, it's a whole different conversation about pricing and whatnot in general.
Yeah.
We could
all right,
go into the nitty gritty about whether or not this and that is worth it. But
so related to that, and I'm giving you the hard questions, man. We're throwing you the fastballs here earlier, right?
That's okay. I don't shy away from hard.
Yeah, here. So, talk a little bit. I'm not trying to get you in trouble or throw grenades or anything, but what about the communication, let's call it, between the home office and you guys? How do you see that? And I think it has manifested itself kind of publicly in the game on occasion, based on some things that kind of got stopped, and that is that a challenge? Is it more? Like, go ahead.
I would say it's not even just a question of us and the home office. I think it's just with the global publishing structure and the fact that we have so many different offices, publishing for one developer under that umbrella. Like at times I'm like, I don't know who the heck to talk to about this thing in my office, let alone like who to bother about this in Minsk. So often, like, there are certainly miscommunications, events starting late, events, black market.
Right.
That's all enough said, right? Black market.
Yeah.
But so with that in mind, like, I think like certainly we could definitely, there's always room for improvement, and it's kind of been a running joke, as far as I've seen, like, in working as intended, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, everything is broken, like it's working as intended. No, it's partially like a pain of being in this like regional like publishing structure.
Right.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, honestly, like I would love to see our internal communication improve a little bit, and we definitely have been making some strides in that. Like we've actually this transition to those folks who are voluntarily working from home. The transition has been surprisingly actually pretty good. Like I feel like our morning meetings are more informative, since everybody is kind of on the spot when they're telling everybody what they're doing that day.
Get to the point and move on, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in a way, like I'm seeing some improvements, and certainly on the CC side, for example, like I have struggled at times, kind of aligning with, say, with EU and Asia on embargo dates for content. Like, oh, there's lots of confusion about sometimes. Oh, well, EU posted this up, like, or we get to post it, etc. So we have like we've been making like more like dedicated channels, and we've been taking more time to sync up with each other and plan.
Yeah.
Since like a lot of like historically, for example, our CC, like our embargoes have always been up at 3 a.m. Central, which is like, okay, none of our streamers are going to be up at 3 in the morning to showcase the vehicles, so like, they're inherently at a disadvantage.
That scoop thing is way more important than I would have imagined. Me coming as more of a hobbyist level when you guys brought me on, and I've expanded a little bit since then, but it is interesting, especially when you start talking to big fish who are their income and livelihood relies on that kind of thing. It's a little bit cutthroat. Not awful, but it's definitely more than I thought there would be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody wants their money, but like, it just in the nature of like, right, you've run one of the, like, if you're a blog, or like, a big YouTuber or whatever,
Right.
that like have that hour to like get your stuff out for, like, could be the difference between, that tens of thousands of views. So like it's definitely something I'd like to work on as well, so we can kind of maybe stagger them. So sometimes we get an early, we get a better embargo day. Sometimes, admittedly, I haven't been. I feel like I just kind of last year, especially, I was kind of dipping my feet into this whole CC program thing, since it's all strange and foreign to me. And I like to think I've been doing a pretty good job for what it's worth. But that said, like, now that like I'm pretty confident in, like, what we've got going on, and all of our folks in the CC program, I definitely want to start getting a little bit more assertive in terms of, all right, let's get some opportunities for our guys, and not just, we'll kind of take what we. Not to say that like, we have been, getting the short end of the stick or anything. Like, I love our EU team. They're all of the EU contributors that I've met. They have all been fantastic. Like, folks.
Yeah. And I guess when I say, cutthroat's not really the right word, but let's call it competitive. So a little bit more. All right. So those are a lot of hard questions. You play the game. I assume you like the game. What do you like about the game? I ask everybody that I interview. What's your favorite thing about it? If there is one. When you go home and don't have to deal with it?
That's a good question. Got it, because it's been so long that I just, like, I feel like my experience with the game has evolved over time too. I mean, I don't want to be corny, but like I really like the community, and I mean, not the nasty aspects of the community. Like, I know that the clan wars can be very, very like that is cutthroat, straight up real talk. Those guys get really brutal with that stuff. But like, as far as like, I guess you see some examples of like extreme bad, but you also see some examples of like extreme good. Like, I've seen so many positive things. Like, you'll go to work into like a live, and I'll talk to somebody, and he's like, yeah, my son got me into this game, and then my grandpa his grandpa got in, and then we're all playing together, and like my wife and my daughter are playing too. Like, it was the entire family is like connecting over like pixel tanks, which is crazy. Like, kids that would like normally like not know what the heck an M4 Sherman is, like, we're just like rattling off facts about tanks to me at D-Day, like, just again, it's like a corny PR answer, but it's legitimately like my favorite part is just like meeting players, and like just if you told me 5 years ago that I would be able to like look at a T-54 and that's a T-54, it's a Soviet medium, like no way in my, like, now I'll just be able to identify tanks by sight, which is crazy.
I remember that from D-Day. That was something that struck me as well. I knew I would enjoy interacting with the other players and the people who came. And by the way, they brought me out. In fact, I have the shirt on right now. Actually, I have my D-Day Conneaut shirt on right now. But interacting with all the people coming out and just chatting, I just remember the one kid who, I don't know if you remember this, but remember the kid who won the laptop, sat there for so long trying to get that high score, and the one dude beat his high score, and then about 30 seconds later he rebeat the new high score and took it back like at the very end of D-Day. That was actually
that was awesome.
Funny. All right, here we go, man. So this says we have some extraordinary CCers from the NA server. When can we get their visages, big word, for crew commanders or skins. I think EU did that recently, right?
Yeah, they had some as part of the it was the Team Clash event where our alternative was Dynasty. Yeah, I mean personally, I was like a little bent out of shape about that because like the year prior we had started this conversation about getting some CC crew skins and that never really turned into anything, and then all of a sudden, hey, there's this event with these 4 really big EU contributors. I'm like, that's awesome, but like, what about my guys? Like,
you got ganked, man. You got ganked.
But yeah, no, I definitely like we want to like I didn't say it, we had a feature request like internal document too that we sent off to Minsk today, and that was like one of my main bullet points is like we want CC crew skins. Like,
all right, did you see?
Definitely something we want, and not only that, I want emblems and decals for y'all too, so you can like give them out for prizes and stuff. Like,
did you see the interview with Grinny last week?
I haven't seen that one yet.
Well, she does this gobble thing. Zero. We have to have a Grinny skin with her making that gobble sound.
Oh my god,
that has to happen. It's you don't have to watch the whole thing. It's in the beginning of it. You have to.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, she's great. I love Grinny. I'm so glad we got her in the program too. Like I was saying, in the CC channel the other day, I'm like, hey, she must have been like a motivational speaker or something in her past life because she's just like such a beacon of positivity. Like she's just so nice.
Yeah, always.
All the time.
Oh yeah. All right, so the Rudy can go to 2 different nationalities. Are we going to see any more of that? That was sort of said when it came out, but we haven't seen any more movement on it. Are there going to be other dual nationality tanks in the near future? Do you have any essay on that?
I don't have any like actual knowledge on that. I know that it's something we want to do, and it is something that we've been repeatedly saying that like is going to eventually happen. No time frame. Right. Soon. TM. Unfortunately,
right. Okay.
Like, it's just like stuff with live publishing too. Like just stuff happens and priorities change. So it was just probably one of those things that like shifted in priority.
Yeah.
It's definitely like I can imagine like because you've got like the T55A like. There's a few of them in there that are multinational, so logic dictates that the same thing that is available with the Rudy would be available with these other multinational vehicles.
Right,
so
right.
Hopefully, most likely, yes. Just no like actual time frame on when.
All right, give us some nice, juicy, inside, salacious information on the ammo rebalance. Where are we, man? What is going on?
I think. Oh gosh, so. If they do have something that they will be releasing soon, I can't share. Right. I haven't taken a deep dive into it yet. I know Cabbage has. What he has told me, he seems to be fairly happy with it. But you know, we'll see how everybody reacts. But yes, there is progress on that front, just nothing to announce yet. And then another thing that I guess I want to stress with that is. All right, everybody says that we don't listen and we don't care. We do. We've rolled back like these are like especially I was saying like these feedback reports specifically around New Balance are critical. If you want to help shape the direction of the game, do the New Balance test. Like leave some feedback on the forums, even if you don't download the test server, but you just have an opinion on leave your opinion. Like, oh, Wargaming doesn't care; they only listen to RU. Like, no, that's BS. Like, because like World of Tanks players, like there may be some regional differences between them, but at the end of the day, we're all playing the same game. Like the same things are important. Maybe US players are more. Want to see more buffs or more tanks added to the U.S. line, Soviet lines or whatever. But the core issues, the core game mechanics, like it's still the same game we're playing, and like we're all passionate.
Well, now hold on a minute. That was interesting. So what do U.S. players want more?
Well, obviously
like
American tanks in general.
Is that
we still get a request for U.S. Wheeled vehicle, and it's just like. I don't know if we're going to see any wheeled vehicles for a long time because like nobody was prepared to like nobody expected the impact that they would have on them. I remember when we were all testing
you brought it up
EBR,
now.
We were all testing the remember like we were all testing the EBRs.
I know, man.
And everyone's like, no, don't get rid of the boost mechanic. Like they're going to suck without they pulled the boost mechanic and they are still so dominant. Like and on paper too, like players when we didn't like the folks who didn't get the EBR rentals for testing, all these people were saying the stats suck. These things are going to be useless. and it turned out to be the exact opposite. So with that in mind, like I don't know if there's going to be any U.S. wheeled vehicles anytime soon. Just we need to figure out New Balance before we add something else that could also drastically impact the meta.
I'm going to call it the wheeled tank problem. That's not exactly what I mean. Issue. Let's call it that. Is the wheeled tank issue institutionalized within wargaming at the home office? I.e., they're looking at it going, maybe something has to be done, or they just know it's an issue. Do you have a sense on if anything's gonna be done in the mech, the way those things are meched and the way they play?
I guess I have to be careful about how I say this because, like, I don't want to like really.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, they're aware, right? It's not a case of they just aren't. Well, they're just ignoring it or whatever.
So let me put it like this: if you go on to VB Addict or any of the stat tracking websites and you filter win rates by it's like, they're and like only so much of that can be attributed to like, oh well, the higher skilled players are playing them, which
not
maybe
now.
part of the truth, but they're not foolproof because
I never buy that argument. That argument is complete garbage. But now it's definitely not an issue.
But so that said, like I think they do want to do something to them.
Yeah.
But like again, all of this kind of balance, all these balance questions are like kind of on the back burner now because they need to figure out what they're doing with HP, ammo, HP mechanic. Wheelie boys too are going to be greatly impacted by like if they make any changes to the HE mechanic. That's like, half of the time I'm spamming HE out of that thing to nuke other light tanks. So yeah, with that in mind, like it's just one of those things, right? It's on the back burner, kind of like with the individual tank rebalances, etc. We definitely got to figure out the chicken before we start laying eggs. That's not. I don't think that's that
might be a bad analogy.
Yeah. I don't know if that's yeah.
Don't lay any more eggs, man.
Don't quote me on that one, but yeah.
All right, let's see. So we recently changed the Tank University thing, and I've had some complaints about that. Where are we on that one?
Well, for what it's worth, Tank University is like a constant work in progress, and I've been giving them feedback reports. So like for example, this month's Tank University, like I did get some good feedback on the changes to the light tank and the T teams. I'm blanking right now on what exactly those changes were. I believe like win requirements were taken away, or I think damage dealing was added.
You also made it like a week and a week and a week. They weren't just all concurrent. That was another change, right?
Yeah, I know. I saw some negative feedback in that regard because people don't want pigeonholed into like, okay, well now we're playing TDs this week and light tanks next week. So yeah, it's definitely a work in progress, and it is something that we are actually like actively looking at. It's an NA project. It's from our live ops team is primarily driving it.
Right.
So it is something just like Tank Rewards where we have a lot of potential to make changes and tweaks to it. They all ultimately have to be bought off on by regional and global publishing and all that. But yeah, the folks that are actually designing it and building it are all in NA. They are listening to NA players' feedback on. But at the end of the day, it is also one of those things that like we have our individual metrics that we're trying to hit, and those individual metrics might not necessarily always align with what players want or need, and that's something that I've also just personally struggled with playing this game for. I have to think like, as a player, this would be cool. Is it like feasible for the organization to do? So it's one of those things too. It's just like, well, sometimes we just take a loss on certain aspects and try to maximize, the positive on different.
So the fans want Saturday Showdown. They want scores from Tragic, Cabbage, or you.
Okay.
I keep hearing that they don't see a score to beat from you guys. So they're looking to punch you guys a little bit out there. So.
I haven't posted a Showdown Saturday score in a while. I used to back in the day.
Do it on Friday and just call it this. I don't know how you do it.
I've been so busy, man. Yeah. Like I just because usually like I'd get my tank sessions in like during the workday, play a few here and there.
Right.
I told people I'd stream the rank battles this season because I like really enjoyed streaming those last season. And then having a bunch of dudes we would like count in and then try to kill each other in the rank battles. It was good fun. So I really enjoyed that, and I want to do more. But it just goes back to like God, I'm just like so stressed and overworked all the time. Like the last thing I want to do is just go home and be reminded of that stress. Um, and then I'm a lifelong gamer. I've been playing video games since I was like 5 years old. So like I can't like
What did you
I
start
can't
with?
always play the same. Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Mario Bros. And then we had one of those like mat things with the two buttons, and we had like the Olympic Games game where you like step on
Oh
the mat.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Like, yeah. But like my true love started with the Super Nintendo. Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario World, Mega Man X. Those were like Mega Man X is still one of my all-time favorite games. Like,
So I know you talk about another game. We won't mention it here. You can if you want, but on the Discord, have you always been an FPS guy lately, or do you like RPGs, RTS? Do you do any other? What are your other game loves?
I mean, I love virtually all genres. I've always had since like high school. I've been really into FPS games. If I'm playing competitive games, I'm not the greatest player, but I still enjoy them a lot. Counter Strike 1.6 was what started like my love of shooters. So I still like what my friend told me when he told me about World of Tanks was like, hey, it's kind of like Counter Strike but with tanks. That was completely wrong, but I still started playing the game because he told me that. Um, but yeah, besides that, I mean, like, I like what else? I mean, I don't think I'll get in trouble for saying like I play other games. Like I've been playing a lot of Tarkov lately. I've been
That's the
playing
one. Yeah.
Sea of Thieves. Stardew Valley has like gripped me again because I've been into this. Like I've been super hyped for Animal Crossing coming out soon for the Switch. um, yeah, I'm just like I'm all over the place with my gaming. Like I still play RuneScape on my cell phone.
I do some mobile gaming. It's mostly the well, I won't use the c word because people get irritated by it. It's mostly evil, but there are some decent games on mobile.
Yeah, it's funny. Like monetizing mobile games, right?
Oh yeah,
It's like a weird thing because like during my interview for CS at Wargaming, I mentioned I was like, hey, I appreciate that. Like for the most part, World of Tanks is monetization model is pretty straightforward. Like yeah, you can pay to play the game or you can play for free, but like you're paying for an advantage. You're not paying for an advantage. You're paying for an advantage in progression rather than advantage in gameplay. I thought it was all pretty straightforward, and then I started doing support for Blitz, and I'm like, there's all these little bits and pieces of Blitz here that are like seem like a little bit like not as honest and
yeah,
straightforward.
yeah.
And then I realized that like you look at all the most successful mobile games, and like they all have this like I don't want to. It's not like the best word because like it's like this a slightly scummy aspect to it. Like
Yeah,
that's
right.
scummy. It's a loaded word, but like there's this like. Like, oh, it's really easy to like.
Well, it's wide open, right? I mean,
You click buy and then accidentally hit OK and then it's done because all these.
I did that, man. I did that. I have a game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is. I have like $20 of whatever it is on this game. That same thing. I was just playing it. Something came up. I hit it. I'm like, whoa. And there you go. I mean, even yeah, I feel like I'm fairly savvy, and I actually somehow ended up buying it like a.
But yeah, there's like a lot of like I would do. We'd get tickets from parents who are like, "Yo, yeah, my kid bought all this stuff on the game. Like, I want a refund." And they used all this stuff, so like we can permanently ban their account and refund all your stuff. And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it, whatever." Because like there's all these people like they'll just like, "Oh, here, I'll put my credit card on the iPad and just go have fun."
Yeah, and they're like, $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get these crazy stories of people charging like tens of thousands of dollars in microtransactions to online games from their kids and then being on the hook for it.
All right, so serious question though. So I want to pivot to serious question. What's the deal with the delay in my CCRNG / top clan / Unicum RNG? How come?
I mean,
I put the paperwork in. I don't understand why.
Well, the last check bounced.
Oh,
I kind of sworn I sent you an email about it. If you want to resend that check, I'll make sure to get that.
Well, I mean, it was a handwritten check. I'm kind of surprised. So the serious question though is, give me your biggest misperception that the players have about you and the community team. What's the one thing that maybe drives you the craziest?
What honestly drives me the craziest is like when people will like essentially assume that our job is something that our job is. And I don't want to like say this the wrong way too, because like some people kind of perceive this conversation as like, oh well, it's it's NA versus RU, or like NA versus Minsk, and it's not that at all. We all like each other, we all work together. Like it's not really us butting heads with the head office. But I guess like I'll post like, oh hey, let's check out this new feature, like we're doing this here's this like social feature that's kind of like battle pass or whatever, and then you get all these guys like, battle pass, like why are you working on this when you should be making new maps and balancing the game? And I'm just like, dude, I'm a community manager at a publishing office. Like
I'm not a dev, dude.
like I'd be happy to pass on your feedback. Like I'm literally the feedback guy. Like I will do that, I promise. But like I'm not like I have to do that nicely too. I can't tell someone who's like several levels above my pay grade to bleep and bleep, like just like there's professional courtesy involved in that. So like it's
But you deal with something that any customer service person deals with, is you're the face, right? You're actually the contact that the person has. So you've got to kind of balance that too. Yes, I can up channel stuff, but at the same time, I'm not that guy. But at the same time, I'm the face of the company that you're, interacting with.
Right. So it's like, it's something to be aware of. Like, I understand that I'm representing my employer, and like I always, like when I'm talking to players, I think they do appreciate it, because like people on the Discord love me. Like, I mean, like, I hate to toot my own horn, but apparently I have a cult. But like, I try to be straightforward and honest. And like, if I'm sharing my opinion about something, like I'll make it clear, like, hey, this is my opinion as a player, as a gamer, as whatever. Like, this might not necessarily reflect everything that my employer does, but I agree here and I disagree here. And like, that should be okay. Right.
All right. So as one of the faces of the company, what happened to the mustache?
It was pitiful. What? So like I have all these, like, I don't know why, because my beard hair is all like brown, but like I have all these blonde hairs in my mustache. So it would look like,
that's called gray, bro. Those are called gray, brother.
But why just in the stash then? It doesn't make sense.
Look at me. Why is it just right here? I don't know.
But yeah, so like it wasn't, I don't know, I just wanted to change it up. I was doing this just like beard thing for a while, and then I had the mustache, and then I'm just trying this again after, I don't know. We'll see what the feedback.
Devil Dog says we have to use product, man, but I don't use any product. Do you?
No, so it depends. So like if I shave it all off and there's that awkward phase of like in between when the hairs are coming out and they're starting to scratch my neck, I get super itchy. So like when that happens, I'll throw some beard cream on there or something.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And that helps, but other than that, not really. And I think also part of that is just like I don't get it past a certain length. I don't know, I'm like weird, and I'll trim it. Even though I want to grow it out, I just trim it because it's too long and I feel like it's not neat. But like I think once it gets a certain length too, you got to dedicate a little bit more care into maintaining it, right? Comb it. Put some oil in there or whatever, and then, with the new health concerns, right? That's also like,
you don't touch your face.
I'm always touching my facial hair.
That's what I'm wondering. Is this like a COVID catcher, or is it a shield, or is it actually a sponge? What?
No, I hear it's a sponge. Like the CDC is recommending that people shave.
Jeez.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm so used to like having at least this. Like for me, it's tactical. Since especially since moving to Austin, I gained some weight. There's a little bit of a double chin thing going on here, but like the beard covers that up quite nicely.
Quiet. That's an old guy's secret. That's exactly why I have a beard.
I was like, oh god, the old Steve Crow movie, 40-year-old version. He's like telling him, it's like, yeah, just gotta like wax your chest a little bit. Like, he's like, you see this? You see all this? Yeah. It's calculated. This is all calculated.
When he rips that patch off, it's one of the greatest scenes ever.
Oh my god, yes.
All right, so putting you on the spot, who's your favorite CC?
All of them.
Dang it.
I will say that I appreciate the CCs who are active and engage with the stuff that we've got going on. Some folks are more hands off than others, and like that's totally fine. I understand you got your own stuff going on, but like it even like it translates to actual numbers. Like Cody Lenz, for example. Cody was like amazing and helping me like run the scavenger hunt. If something was going wrong, Cody would get info out on his YouTube channel, his Twitch channel, his website, like, and everybody would know. And like I feel like as a result of him being this like beacon for scavenger hunt, you would see on his scavenger hunt days he was getting like more lifts out of the actual activity because more of his audience knew him. So like folks who like engage with the program, you know, give suggestions, stuff for us to do. Like I'm sure you've seen my messages in there at some point where I'm like, hey guys, just as a reminder, I'm available to you as like an account manager. Like if you have some kind of a special project you'd like to, even if it's just like, hey, you know, my birthday's coming up, I want to do something, you know, special, whatever. If you've got something that's going on, you want to do something special, the sky is the limit, so to speak. Like obviously, you know, I probably will say no if you want to give out Type 59Gs to everybody.
Yeah. I have not run into any problem.
Folks that care, and it's like it's obvious just from talking to folks. Like you can tell who actually cares, who gives a, and then like I wouldn't say that anybody in the CC program is really there for the wrong reasons. I think for the most part we have a great crowd. Yeah. But there are folks who just like don't have as much time or just, you know, kind of pop in here and there, and like that's totally fine. I understand.
Yeah.
But I will be a little bit biased towards the folks that are, you know, there with me in the thick of it, and like we're all kind of a team.
Yeah, it's been a great ride. I've enjoyed it. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up, but we're gonna ask you for one little. Give us a juicy tidbit, man. Come on, give us a little light at the end of the tunnel on something. What's cool that might happen in the near future?
Let's see. Well, I mean, Steel Hunter will be coming up soon.
We know that.
When that comes up. Well, so as like a kind of the, you know, silver lining to that too is that like the reason it was delayed is because we want to make sure that we have like replay functionality enabled, that stability is working. Like I guess like nothing like particularly like cool or amazing, but maybe we've kind of become more aware of the fact that like, okay, last 6 months have been like technical failure after delay after technical failure. Like
that's true.
We realize we are aware of the fact that we haven't had a good run lately with events and etc. And we're trying to fix our track record with that. So it may be slower, but hopefully more commitment to QA and making sure that stuff is really like actually polished and ready to go before like disappointing people that what they've been waiting for isn't actually happening.
Oh, that's good, man. I like that actually. Thanks. Yeah, that's fantastic to hear actually. Well, hey Domo, thanks for coming by, man. I really appreciate it. This is good stuff. Anything you want to say? Parting shots to the people out there?
Not really. I mean, thanks for having me. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Everybody watch, you know, if you aren't subscribed to Guido already, you should subscribe to his channel. Check him out on Twitch. Check out some of our new CCs. If Scavenger Hunt ends up getting approved, please participate in that because that makes me look good too. And yeah, please stay safe. Wash your hands. Like it's like even if you think it's silly, just, you know, there's no harm in being safe and just being a little bit more aware of what we're doing, what we're touching, who we're touching. Like just to kind of have that in the back of your mind that like stuff has germs and germs are scary right now. There's absolutely nothing wrong with just being. Don't panic, buy a bunch of toilet paper, but you know, just try to be responsible, and we will all get through this craziness as, you know, hopefully as soon as reasonably possible.
Well, right on, Dome. I appreciate that. I echo that exact sentiment to everybody. Hey, thanks for coming by, everybody. We will see you later. It's Guido and Domo signing out. Say bye, Domo.
Bye, Domo.